Hello and welcome to the Soulful Valley podcast. If you're a regular listener, thank you for listening and supporting this podcast. If you're new here and don't know me yet, I'm your host, Katie Carey, independent publisher of Books That Matter and an international best-selling author, and of course, the host of this globally ranked podcast. I help metaphysical coaches and healers gain confidence, clarity, raise their visibility and their credibility, giving them the opportunity to shine their light brighter so that the people they are here to serve can find them. I do this by creating opportunities for them to become best-selling authors in my multi-author and solo book projects. I also offer one-to-one mentorship services to help spiritual business owners find and unlock their limiting beliefs. In this podcast, I'll be sharing wisdom from myself, coaches, authors and energy healers that could be just what you need to transform your life today. You can connect with me via the Contact Katie button at my website at www.soulfulvalley.com.
Love yourself with all your heart. If you don't already, it's time to start. 'Cause nothing's gonna work out until you do.
Hello and welcome back to the Soulful Valley podcast. We are thrilled to be back and to bring you an incredible lineup of guests from now until September, leading up to the launch of our groundbreaking book collaboration, Evolving on Purpose, Co-Creating with the Divine. Prepare to be amazed as you dive into the chapters of this book. Within its pages, you will find a treasure trove of wisdom worth thousands of dollars, encompassing coaching, healing, business strategies, spiritual growth and mentorship. The authors have poured their hearts into recounting their personal journeys, including the challenges they faced and overcame. Mark your calendars for the grand launch of our book on August the 30th. We can't wait to share this remarkable creation with you. But that's not all. We want you to be a part of this journey right from the beginning. Join our Facebook launch support group by finding the link in the show notes of each episode. By being a part of our community, you'll gain access to exclusive content, discussions, and behind-the-scenes moments. And here's the cherry on the top. When we officially launch, we'll be showering our supporters with a multitude of free gifts. These valuable resources will be yours to download when you purchase the book. And that's not all. If you're a coach, healer, a spiritual entrepreneur, a writer, a poet, or a business owner, we invite you to explore the exciting opportunities waiting for you at soulfulvalley.com. Discover how you can join our collaborations and become a vital part of our mission to empower and uplift, or co-create your own solo book with us, where you will receive 100% of your own royalties. Don't miss out on this incredible podcast series and the chance to be part of something truly transformative. Tune in, connect, and evolve on purpose with us. Together, we'll co-create a brighter future. Visit soulfulvalley.com after you finish listening to this episode. Dr. Susanne Kurz is a German scholar, life coach, and creator. She has worked for almost 20 years as a university researcher and teacher on the history of the Persianate culture in Iran, Middle Asia, and India before embarking on a new adventure. In her second life as a coach and hypnotist, she supports people who feel stuck or caged, who want to reconnect with their inner compass, intuition, or simply to feel calmer and happier where they are. One thing that has never changed is her eager interest in people and their stories, and her passion for breaking through limitations. Based on the experience she has gained through a hobby, she also offers coaching to actors on optimizing IMDb, Wikipedia, and social media. Her most exciting project in the making is an original high fantasy TV series that combines her unique experiences and skills to form a vision for a brighter world embedded in the story of a gripping adventure. You can learn more at suzanne-kurz.com/magicians-blood-series and on instagram.com/magiciansbloodseries. Hello and welcome to the Soulful Valley podcast, Susanne.
Hi, Katie. I'm happy to be back on your podcast again.
It's wonderful to have you here, Susanne. Susanne was a guest, I think, right, maybe series 1 or series 2, right in the early days of this podcast. And we shared a bit of our story of how we met back then, but a lot's happened since then, hasn't it? We've definitely been evolving on purpose. So, Susanne, I'll let you introduce yourself to our listeners. Who are you? What do you do? And how did you end up in this book collaboration?
Yeah, my name is Susanne Kurz. I'm German, as you can hear from my accent. I'm a scholar of the cultural history of the Persian-speaking world after the advent of Islam, a life coach, hypnotist, and creator. And I went through quite the journey to becoming a life coach, from first being an academic researcher at university, then transitioning. Yeah, as we will probably talk about later on in the interview, I'm still on the road. And my chapter is also on the journey and other aspects of the journey. And I came to collaborate in the Evolving on Purpose book 2, more or less through our personal connection on Facebook, because I was following what you were posting. I think I was in the launch group of your prior book. I won a prize, and I think we had another prize in mind first, and then for some reason we couldn't do that.
And you the chapter.
And you offered me the chapter.
I knew I wanted you to write in this book.
And that was exactly what I wanted to, because I had seen the Evolving on Purpose book 1, and this title had really resonated with me. And so I thought, well, that's a great second chance, so I'll jump in. And the funny thing about how we met is that on my journey from being an academic to becoming a life coach, in the early phase, back in 2017, I knew I wanted to get out. I also didn't have a new contract coming up, and I absolutely had no idea where to go. That meant that I was facing something like a big black hole in my life, which wasn't that conscious for me at that point, because I always have stuff to do. I'm a creator. I always have ideas and things that I'm working on, and things that I want to test and to try and so on. That was something that led me to run fan pages on social media for a British actor. And that's where we met, on Instagram, right? On the fan page that I'm running there. And the reason for that was that I think, Katie, you thought it's actually the actor himself, because you used to work with him.
I did, because suddenly you were interacting a lot with my posts, so I thought it was him.
Yeah, and that's interesting, because I followed you. I think back then might have been in 2018 or so. I was checking, he had made a page on Instagram. Actually, he made this page, which he is running now. When I switched to the fan page on Instagram and said, voila, here's the fan page now. And then he came over and made this new account, because he had an old one that was idle, where he had put on 3 posts in 2012 or 13 or something. Okay, so while I was transitioning in the early time, when I knew I wanted to get off academia, and I also didn't have a new contract coming up at that point, but I absolutely didn't know what to do and where to go. And obviously that's also a financial problem, not just a problem of purpose and what to do. I had kind of a big black hole in my life that I was staring into, but I wasn't really aware of that at the time, which is because I always have things to do and have plans and projects and ideas. So I didn't really realize that, because I was busy all of the time. But in retrospect, I understood that was the case, and there was something that kind of saved me and jumped into this big hole. We connected because I had figured out that some people were following his page who knew him from Facebook or from real life, and he wasn't doing anything. I mean, absolutely nothing back then on Instagram. So I was the only person who was displaying anything and sharing news and all that. So I thought I should point the people who are following only him and not me to the fact that there is a page. So if they are interested, they can follow me. So I started following them. And I think you were one of them. And
yeah, you started liking my posts and following my posts. And I know that Ivan has on his Facebook often shared when it's a full moon. So I know he's at least into the full moon. So I thought, maybe he likes the stuff that I'm doing. And then I discovered it wasn't Ivan, it was you.
Right, exactly. And that came about because I kept those people who followed me back. I kept them. Also, I try to interact with as many posts that I see in my timeline as possible when I like them. And I especially liked your page because you had this interesting mixture of inspirational quotes and eBay business reports. And as I was looking for what am I going to do, I was also interested in all ways of and kinds of making money. So I found it really interesting, and we personally connected then. And I think that's also when it was clear then to you that I wasn't Ivan was when I saw your posts about coaching program of our common coach Joanna Hunter.
Yeah, because it was the My $1 Million experiment, and I sent you. Well, either I sent you the link or you saw the post and you joined.
Yeah, I saw your posts.
Got more connected then.
Yeah. Exactly. When I decided that I wanted to test that because it wasn't high risk, I think she sold it for $25. Yes. So I thought, yeah, well, if I can become a millionaire with an investment of $25, all the better. That even if it doesn't work at all, I've lost $25. What else? And then I thought, yeah, okay, I've seen a page that's an affiliate link. I go back to that link and join it through the link, because I know how affiliate marketing works, and I think it's only fair if you get to know an opportunity, something that interests you, because someone posts about it, then you should use their affiliate link. Yeah. And that's then how we connected in the group, because I think you commented somewhere that you had gotten that many people who came through your link, and I said,
I think it was about 62 people. And because I did that as well, that's how I invested in my first chapter in the first book I wrote in. So I wouldn't be doing any of this if it wasn't for me deciding, $25 is ridiculously low I'd already joined her Depop and a couple of and Lightweb. So I knew that the value in this year-long container for $25 was amazing, and I'd hoped that people would see that. And they did. 62 people did see that. So yeah, that's where it started for us, and then we've ended up in Joanna's several of her courses together. Yeah. So the journey's evolved. We've got we're on the same path of, I think, understanding the energy of money. Yes. I think we've both perhaps been traumatized by money or the lack of it. Yeah. But a lot of our journey has been similar. So yeah, I really did want you to write a chapter in this book.
Yeah, and so that's a really good opportunity that came up when I won this prize, got the chapter, because that was a point in time when there was no way I would have been able to invest in the chapter actually and put money in, because I think I had spent twice that money for newspaper ads, to get clients. And no, one was for newspaper ads, and the other half was for video, which also was broadcast on a regional channel, but that didn't really work out. But the newspaper ad, one of them had really worked for me before, but that one hadn't. So I had basically spent a good deal of the income, the overall income I had.
I remember you saying at one point to people when you saw my book opportunity, I think it was before you even did join, and you were telling people, this is amazing value. I've just paid this much for an ad and this much, and they didn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
Write in a book. It's forever.
Exactly. That's how I told people about it, because it's kind of an enhanced international advertising opportunity.
Exactly, and it stays forever, doesn't it? It doesn't go out of date after a week or a month.
Exactly, so, and you pay about the same amount really for an elaborate newspaper ad that is in the newspaper one day.
Yeah, exactly. So, Susanne, can you share with us a little bit about the chapter that you have written for Evolving on Purpose, Co-Creating with the Divine?
Yes, my chapter is called Moving Beyond loss of purpose. That also sets the theme, which is mainly about my journey from academia or through academia to where I am now, or where I was when I wrote the chapter back last year. So I think I've made a 1-paragraph update this year, but most of it is the situation that I had last year, because I'm evolving so fast at the moment. Things are developing and changing all of it. It's quite some time on here, you know.
Yeah, and that seems to happen with people in these book projects as well, is that we take on exactly what the title is. we're actually living the journey and going through the spiritual growth of that title. I think because in the back of our minds as well, maybe, you know, we know we're writing in that book. so we become what we're writing about, which has been quite interesting. So another thing that really excites me about you, Susanne, is your bigger dreams. I know about your bigger dreams, and I'm very excited about your bigger dreams because they were sort of somewhere along a similar trajectory as my big dreams since I was a child. Share with us a little bit about that, because this is something I want people to know about, and I want people to support you with as well in future, if they can, you know, if they want to do that, if they can do that. And I'm sure, yeah, I'm excited that you've asked me to participate in some way as well. So
exactly, that relates to the creator thing, that the creator attribute that I've given myself. That is about the development of a high fantasy TV series that I'm currently doing. I've made a little bit of progress just recently. It has been in the works and in my thoughts for about 4 years now. And it is a series that is based on a novel concept that I've written years ago. I think that was in 25 or 26, something like that. And that was actually a story that developed out of an exercise I did, a writing exercise I did during working on my PhD dissertation. It is essentially about 2 major themes. I mean, we have an adventure story. We have a magician in there. He's a bit of an older character in his high in his 50s. So it's not about a teenager who is coming of age. It's more like showing that midlife is also a portal to new avenues. That's one of the 2 major themes in it. The other one is about essentially exploring the theme of clash of civilizations in its complexities and perspectives, and showing that there are various perspectives at work, and it's not like you have good and bad, but you have just perspectives, and you have to understand that this is the case, and everyone is kind of justified in the way he thinks of things and he approaches things, even if the methods may not be great, but they have, you know, there's a logic behind it. That is something you have to understand, and you have to accept that the logic in itself works too. And then transcending and overcoming clash of civilizations by individual spiritual growth. And our main character, this magician, he is someone who is kind of between 2 worlds, between 2 cultures. He has grown up in a magician realm as an orphan, raised by his uncle, who is a really big guy there in this magician realm. But his mother came from the neighboring kingdom. And the neighboring kingdom is a merchant kingdom. And in his youth, he has, well, let's say he has had a bit of an issue with the king in the kingdom where he has been raised. And so he had to flee. And he went over to his mother's homeland. The thing is that his parents disappeared there at some point. They wanted to go there and check out if they can live there, and left their baby boy with his uncle just to keep him safe while they were exploring if this is a good idea. And that's because between these kingdoms, there has always been a bit of a strained relationship, because the magician kingdom has been an empire early on and had incorporated, that means conquered, and thereby kind of, let's say, suppressed the other kingdom. And that's still in the collective memory. I mean, those days are over, but they have strained relationships, and they have frequent wars and all that. There's a kind of xenophobia going on with regard to magicians and people from that kingdom. But he goes over there, and obviously in the back of his mind also there is the idea to maybe find out what happened to his parents. But he kind of becomes a friend with him and ends up being the regent minister there. And then when the king disappears in the next war, he takes over. And that's a situation where he's then 25 years later, and that's where we start, where then suddenly we have an assassination attempt. He finds out that the king of the other realm, the other kingdom, tries to kill him. He has to figure out there are other things that are going on that are quite concerning, and there are some secrets going on and all that. And so it looks quite concerning. So he is pushed to make a move, and he decides he has to go back home and find out what's happening there and face his past and face the situation and maybe come out on top of it. That's the idea he has, but let's see how it goes. And my idea then was that, as you said, you would like to be involved in acting again. And
I've been playing with this idea now.
and to slowly step back into it. And I have recently mapped out, I have a script for kind of a proof of concept short pilot. So it's a short version of the pilot, which sets up the world, introduces the main characters, and teases a bit what's going to happen. But I've then mapped out the full pilot now. And while mapping out the full pilot, I suddenly found that a side character, but nonetheless important, came up in the pilot, which is a scene we can do. It's a character that will then in the last episode also have an important entrance. I propose also fits, visually your type quite fits the role. And so I think I had the idea that you could do this role, you could play this role, especially as we don't need you to, run around the set or anything for the role.
That's quite important. I'd have to be hobbling around on a stick or riding around on a nice scooter.
So the thing is that we have a lot of fascinating stuff in there. In this series concept, we have one male main character, but because perspectives are so important, there are various characters that are really important. The interesting aspect of our main character, aside from what I've already told you, is that I like to call him my villain turned hero in a world that doesn't have villains and heroes, mainly because it's just people. It's people.
Yeah.
They have good sides and they have bad sides and they make mistakes. That's the one thing, that all the roles are really important. There are no small parts in this series. And because all the perspectives are so important. We also have a younger generation, of course, which may take over in another season later on then completely, but they are getting also more coverage as we go on in the story. And we have, of course, very strong female characters. And they will play an important part in unveiling the fact that not everything that is in the traditions is necessarily true, that there might be a change underway in this story and in this world, and that we are potentially entering a new era here. And the female characters are pretty important for that, not least also the younger female character, who is kind of a very, very soft, nice, friendly, kind type of person, but has, this steel inside her, has quite interesting capabilities and traits. Think about what else is important to know about this. Oh yeah, and I think it's a really good opportunity also to have a host of actors casted who are not the usual, European type. And that's because it's set in a region that is more like the Near or Middle East, because that's the thing. I have essentially combined all my experience, all my expertise, all my things that I've learned in my life as an academic, as a historian, and as a life coach, and as a hypnotist, and as a spiritual seeker. I've combined all that with my passion for the visual elements and creation. I've put that into this. So that's something that connects a lot of the dots for me, and also where a lot of the dots of my journey that looking back I can connect and see leading into this, not only into this but also into this, where that leads, which were completely unrelated at first, and not that were things I couldn't see that coming.
No, we can't, can we? We can't. Hindsight is wonderful. One of the questions I wanted to ask you about that as well, then, if you wrote that such a long time ago, I would imagine that the script has evolved because of your experiences, and your characters have evolved because of what you've been, what you've learned over the last few years.
Yeah, it's actually, the thing is, when I stopped writing it, I wrote it from, I think, 2006 to 2011 or so. I constantly wrote pieces of this work. And I have a huge amount of material there. That's one of the reasons why I came to the realization that I can't put that into a film. That's too complex.
It's a series, yeah.
And it's a series, and we can do much more interesting things with a series, obviously.
Yeah.
But at the point where I stopped that and had put that into my drawer and then only taken it out again in late 2009, when I had the idea to just go straight away to the screen with it, instead of, writing the novel, publishing the novel, getting the novel read, and then perhaps someone is going to make a film of it. That was because I had the idea that the magic of this world should be connected. That's a really important thing. I was thinking I want to write something that I would like to, in that case, read, now to watch. What I'm looking for in fantasy is often kind of an inspiration of, something like a background reality, how the world really works, as something that can be fitted into our world, something that can give me a hint where to look and where to go and what to do. And I think the best fiction in that area does that to a certain degree. When I stopped for a while, that was because of two reasons. One was that was organically evolving, so I had written a lot of scenes, but I hadn't mapped out all of the story at the beginning. I went more by, I could write this scene, this scene, this scene, and I had a couple of plot issues. But the more important thing was that I was going for the magic being something that is tied to our actual background reality and the spiritual realm, and things that are, psi abilities and things like that, which has fascinated me since I was a teenager. And I wanted to have a connection to that, and I wanted to have a connection to I wanted it to have a connection to this whole area, and to actually offer inspiration for people who are seekers, and to show them in a story, in a world where we can just assume that's all real and that works, while in our world there are a lot of people who would say that's doubtful if it actually works and if that even exists, But we have a fantasy world where all of that is real, and I wanted to use that to convey insights and wisdom and experiences. But at that point, I had read a good deal of things, but I didn't really have any experiences myself. And I had the feeling I wasn't able to do it justice, to do it the way I wanted to do it. And that's a very special aspect also of the series, of course, that it wants to show the level on which we are all connected, and the breaking through to that level as part of working through these intercultural conflicts that are there in this setting, which are also there in our globalized world. I mean, that's actually something that I found very important to have in this show, because I've seen that not every show that had the potential to do that properly. I mean, we will have a division there, but we won't stay at the point of the division. We won't just play out the division, and the conflict. We want to move beyond that.
Yeah. I love it.
And obviously, in the first season, which I've completely mapped out, because that would have been the book one, my book one, for which I have the complete concept. Obviously, there we will just start to get into that. I mean, we have all the changes coming into work towards the end. It's underway during the journey, but it really then starts materializing at the end. And then I hope we get to a season 2 and 3 where we can then further develop that. And for season 3, I have a kind of a Matrix-like idea for the background reality is the real reality.
Yeah, I love it.
Actually,
I can see your excitement in this as well. So I love it. If any of our listeners want to follow your journey with this, because that would be a wonderful idea, wouldn't it? How can they do that?
Yeah, that would be great, because actually what we need is people who help us with advice, with connections, with building a community. Also, we have to raise funds very soon.
Investors, if anyone wants to invest in this.
Yes, obviously, and or do sponsorships, like have your brand displayed in it, or just someone who has, for example, who has costumes or weapons or anything we could use, and we have then company's name and the brand displayed. All that is possible, of course. And we have set up now, mainly I am running it at the moment, an Instagram page. It's called Magician's Blood Series. You find it under Magician's Blood Series. I'm about to set up a Facebook page for that. I have a little group on Facebook, which I haven't really invited many people in yet because I have yet to put in the content. I'm currently working on more content also for the Instagram page. The little group is called the Brighter World Projects Mastermind, because that is meant to really discuss creative projects that go in that direction, that are creative projects that want to brighten the world, so to speak. And I will put this more info on this project into that group too. So it's a private group, so we can discuss and everything without anybody spying in, but we'll have a page. But currently with the Instagram page, Magician's Blood Series, where we can connect. And I also have set up a page for the project on my personal website. This is Susanne-Kurz.com. I can't wait to get that going. We also are currently talking to someone who could be our director for that, who is interested in that. We have already a great person for our main character, which I can't announce publicly yet, but I hope we'll get there soon. We are in talks for our female lead, which is a quite interesting and strong character too. And it's also an actress who is rather well known to certain people who are in certain fandoms for TV shows. So, and a wonderful, lovely person who is interested in it. So we don't have a yes from her yet, but she wants to be kept up to date. And I think that will be a really great thing. And as you can see and hear, we have already a few people in the industry who are interested in it. So the concept is great. It's not just me who thinks it's great.
So exciting.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to, make little gifts, just send us something through to us to get a bit more going, to maybe be able to, pay someone to do a bit more of the visuals for our socials or anything like that. I have set up a little gift donation
awesome.
paper link on my website. So I haven't really done a lot on the publicity side so far because we need more content for that. But I've just done a much more, compressed, much more compressed pitch for our Instagram page, which will go live in the next couple of days. And I'm really looking forward to moving forward with this, and having the opportunity to pay my boys. I have two beautiful younger team members who are here in Germany. They have a bit of experience with projects, but are rather young and just breaking into the industry and not really where they want to be yet. And so I'm really looking forward also to having a proper pay for them so they can be more involved and more focused on this project in the future.
That's wonderful, Susanne. Thanks for sharing all of that. I'm excited. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
And before that, we're just very excited, aren't we, that we're launching this book on the 30th of August, which is less than 2 weeks away now. So the title of your chapter again?
The title of my chapter was Moving Beyond Loss of Purpose. And I have shared, as much as was possible in the, character limit or the word limit of my journey from academic researcher, historian to life coach. I've also shared a bit on this TV series project, probably not up to date because I'm constantly tweaking my texts. But I have also, which is an important part of the journey, shared how death has always been an important theme in my life, and how that has essentially led to my spiritual search. Like I'm a seeker. I'm getting a lot more of revelations and an idea how things really work meanwhile, but I'm still a seeker. And I think that connects directly to the researcher, because I found out that being a researcher is also not a job description. It's a personality trait,
Yeah.
And so I'm a seeker, I'm a researcher, and I've mapped that out a bit in the chapter and how that has influenced me. And I haven't gone into all the details, but I think I've shared that I went through several stages, like looking at near-death experiences as a start, and then moving further on. And that was usually by the work of people who are kind of like me, academics, grown up in academic circles, very rational, very skeptical, very doubtful about anything on the spiritual level and in the spiritual realm. And these people then got convinced by things they themselves experienced or found out, that there's more to life than what we usually see in the material world,
Yeah.
and or on a material level. And that is something that helped me to approach that, because I found that pretty convincing. Because I'm not a person who has, from childhood been able to see anything else than anybody else. And maybe I felt things, but I'm actually, I found out that I have my approach is feeling more than
Yeah.
anything else. But I'm a very visual person generally, so visual and in the sensory level. But I didn't have, a special ability or anything. I couldn't see dead people. I couldn't see auras. I still can't see auras, although I'm training to see if I can make that happen. I didn't have any sort of experience of that sort. And that makes it much harder, to get into that stuff when you just don't have all these experiences. It's helpful when you have other people who are more or less the same or very similar to yourself, who then say, yeah, but my story is I got convinced by this and that
Yeah.
there's more, and there's a
Yeah.
background reality. And this is how it works as far as I found out. And that was my journey, and I'm sharing a good deal, not the details, but a good deal of that in the chapter. Yeah, and also a bit of the struggle, of course, on the more mundane level of finances and simply losing my purpose and losing my identity as a researcher, because not for everyone, but for many people who are in academia and are doing research and teaching, that is part of their identity, and it's a way of life. It's not just a profession, it's a way of life. And when you lose that, that's a huge change. And the interesting thing that I found, that's something I wanted to share here, is that during the time, which is also the time when I was very active on the fan pages, during the time when I was shifting and transitioning, and I was with one foot I had still in the university, because something had come up that just helped me also to earn some additional money there. When I had still one foot in there, but I started to feel that I didn't belong there anymore. So that was long after I had made the decision that I wanted to get out for various reasons. That was the point where I really didn't feel like I belonged there anymore, came much later. And that was during I was transitioning. And on the other hand, I did an education in psychology, not the university degree, because I didn't have the funding and the time for that, but a practical education that I wanted to have as a background for coaching. So simply that I know if someone, when you are in personal coaching, life coaching as opposed to business coaching, people come to you who have some sort of issue or dissatisfaction with their life. And then you have to be able to discern if you are dealing with someone who actually needs to be referred to someone who does real therapy, if you're a coach and don't have a license for therapy, or if you can work with them. And for that, you need a good fundament in psychological knowledge. And I also learned techniques for asking questions and talking to clients and so on. Very practical things also. But while I was working on that, and I was transitioning out of academia and into this, well, I'll probably be a life coach thing, I just had no identity anymore, because I felt I wasn't part of academia anymore, but I wasn't part of anything else. And it was a bit like shortly before I finished my first university degree, where I was fed up with being nothing. because you are a student, but you are nothing, you're just a student. And what I found was very interesting. It was very uncomfortable, and I tried to finish it by finding my way through and looking and how do I see myself and all that, but it all didn't work. One is it has its own rhythm, so you just have to let it develop. You can't force it. You can't just will it and say I want to have another identity now. It has to develop. And the other thing which I find really interesting is why I now have all those different attributes that I'm saying I'm this and I'm that and I'm that, is because I'm not one of those things anymore. I found in retrospect, I would say it's really freeing to have no fixed social identity, to be not able to, when someone says to you, what are you doing and what's your profession, to be quite unable to say anything or to have to say a couple of things.
Several things, yes.
Yeah, but that's really really helpful, I think, because
shows as well how multi-dimensional we are, doesn't it? Really,
yeah, and
that's who we really are.
And it gives you the space actually to develop in various directions and to honor your various dimensions. Because one reason why I felt I couldn't stay in academia as a profession, not that I'm not interested anymore, I don't ever want to do research anymore in my life. I have some ideas which not really fit the system, but I have ideas for later on. I'm just taking a break, so to speak. But one reason was that I felt I didn't have the time, the energy, and the space left for all the other things that are me. I mean, that was an important part of me and still is, but it's not all of me. It didn't leave space for anything else that is me. And so by losing my identity, I opened up to having yet again a free field, so to speak, to go into to develop various directions and to honor these dimensions that I have. And now I'm slowly coming to to realize how it can be broken down, what labels I can put on it to clarify to others what I'm doing and what I'm about. And that is this the TV series idea started to materialize, where I found, okay, there's all of the things that I've done recently and before, and so is going into this, and this is really a container of what is me and what is my approach to life and what is my contribution to the world, that I want to make. And that's essentially about breaking through limitations and conquering fear. That's the two things that I would say are main themes in my life, because whenever I see the question, if you could do one thing, I think, or teach one thing, or help people with one thing. I don't know how it was phrased, but
niching.
If there would be one thing you want to achieve or you want to do, and I have to come up with the most important thing that I think I would like to help people with, and myself, of course, which I'm working on constantly, is to remove fear.
Yeah.
Obviously not the necessary.
Well, I don't think you can remove the fear, can you? I think it's a case of rolling with the fear, but in a more comfortable way.
Yeah, but it's essentially this problem with. I think that's a really big thing, that fear kind of conquering fear in a way. So not letting fear be the person who runs the show, or the thing that runs the show. I think that's something that really blocks most of us and keeps most of us outside of or away from what we can really live and enjoy and do and create and so on, is fear. So that's an important thing. And the other thing is, and that's what all my life has been about, from my curiosity when I look back as a child, as a teenager, into what I was doing in academia, the research, where it was about a different culture and different times and different cultures. It's actually not just one culture, but it's several cultures in kind of wrapped in one. And what I then started doing with the hypno-coaching, because I'm doing hypnosis, and what fascinates me about hypnosis always is about breaking through limitations, widening the horizon, going, to to the other side of a limit, not accepting limitations as a wall that where you can't move further, but constantly going over limitations. That's the thing and that's also in my that's in my show, that's in my coaching, that's in my fascination with hypnosis, that's in my research and what I wanted to achieve there and what I was looking for there. So that's the other big theme for me in my life. I think I haven't phrased it quite that way in the chapter, but the chapter is a lot about all these aspects and how and also the fascinating thing how, just in the past 6-7 years, how all those spotty dots that all over the place of things I was doing, and I was thinking like, but how does it connect, and how can I merge it, and how can I how this, when you look back, somehow all makes sense. And it's brought me, I mean, this fan page thing, that's something I'm not really, I mean, my family knows I'm doing that, but I'm not really I wasn't really advertising that and that I was putting energy in that, because every rational being would say, hey, you have a lot of problems of your own, you have to make a living, you have to find a new you have to run a business and so on. Shouldn't you focus on that stuff? I mean, that's also the voice in my head, when I was, but I have fun there, but it's fun, I like it, I can create pictures, I can edit videos, I can edit pictures, I can make posters, I can make this. It's fun, I like it. On social media, you have that community. You have the people who really sometimes tell you made my day with this post and things like that.
It's impactful, isn't it? We're making an impact on people with what we are doing and what we are creating. So
that's right.
I think being able to put what we're earning, even though it is important that we can feed ourselves.
Yeah. It is.
And there are times when you're a creative that that just becomes difficult.
Well, the thing is, if you look at that, if I had stopped doing the fan page work in, let's say, 2020, when I was
we wouldn't
my business,
be doing this now.
We wouldn't be talking.
And
now.
I wouldn't be inspiring, like pushing you, do this that you're dreaming of. I want to hear about this series. It's amazing.
Right.
Thank you, Susanne, for all of this wonderful magic, which is what it is, really. It's all magic. We've seen how you're connecting the dots. I've actually channeled a poem called Connecting the Dots, because I connected all of the dots in my life, going all the way back to the childhood where I did believe in magic, where things did happen, but then the world told me I couldn't do that. I had to go and get a real job and earn some money to pay my way, and so that stopped me in my tracks of pursuing my dreams until 2020 when I started a podcast, and now all these exciting things have happened. Which doesn't matter about the money.
Which is just another instance of the truth that midlife is a portal to new avenues.
Exactly. I feel that. I really feel that.
That's really not depicted nearly enough on screen at the moment.
And I think as well we connect with, at this age anyway, with my grandchildren. I'm on such I see children so differently than I did when I was a parent. There's so much magic in there that maybe I missed because of all of the responsibilities of being a parent and the survival stuff. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to the rest of my magical life as an elder person.
And a really fascinating thing that now just came in, just to follow up on the chapter, which doesn't have the updates of this year, I mean, I had this very heavy incident in my life this year that my father died. Also was ill last year for a couple of months, and we still were surprised at that point when he died. That was a really tough thing, but it also, interestingly, I could deal with that much better than I could deal with the death of my grandmother 15 years ago, or almost 16 years ago, because I was in a completely different place now, even though it's closer, when it's a parent. But the interesting thing is that I really had, shortly afterwards, 2 months afterwards, I had a real breakthrough here with one of the beautiful coaches on Facebook, spiritual coaches, who is in my circle. I don't know, maybe through one of your books, or I don't even know how I got to know her.
Who is it?
Melissa Amos.
Yeah, I just bought her book.
It's through Mac. So Mac McGregor, who I'm
through
sure
Mac,
one
okay.
day I will get to interview because she's in my next book, invited me to Melissa. And I'm also in Kyle Gray's community, and she was connected to Kyle Gray. So I feel a bit of a calling towards Melissa as well.
She's amazing, really. I did. I mean, I was quite involved now in her book launch because she had an invitation to a launch group and had some goodies and all that. And I thought, hey, I want to buy this book anyway, so why not go in there and get some goodies for doing that? And she ran a free challenge, a 5-day challenge this year in March, and mid-March it was. And I have never had such a breakthrough like I had in this, several actually, like I had in this challenge. And that's also why I've stayed connected, and I will be in the next challenge. And I actually won something now around the book launch, a little bit of a VIP
That's quite
thing.
funny. That's quite funny because this is my bedtime reading at the moment because I'm reading her book now.
Yeah.
So it's quite when you look here again, connecting the dots, the people that we're connected to, and how what we end up discovering because of these people, and how linked we all are. It is all magical.
I mean, that's really fascinating, and I think that's something that really social media plays into that a lot, because that's an amazing place to just. Facebook really works very well for me in this
because
aspect.
we find people like us, don't we? That we see a representation of ourselves and the topics that we're fascinated with. And people get upset about adverts on Facebook. I love them because they're usually something that I want to see.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite interesting stuff in the ads, and my take on the Facebook ads is that it's basically what keeps the platform free for us, because that's how they are making their money. I always welcome the ads. Why not? I mean, if it's more ads than if all the other my people post gets buried under ads, that's another topic. But generally, the ads are just part of the experience. And the breakthroughs I had, one was actually I actually had in a meditation that was aimed at something different. I actually had the first connection that I felt was really, I was really sure about, that was a connection with my father. And that was, and I can't, as I told you, I'm in the feeling area. I can't really see, and I can't hear anything, and so, but I could feel, I could feel a field of energy, and it was totally fascinating. It was something, he was all the time on my mind at that time, but it wasn't something I was looking for in this experience. So that's why I was really convinced that was real. He just showed up there, and it's fascinating how he felt to me. But that's the one thing. And the other thing was that I had done a reading with Katish last year, because she had an amazing, really, really affordable offer. And I thought, okay, yes, I need, because I was like, with my business, what way do I go? How do I, niche down and all that things, and how do I make it work for me? Because financially it's not working the way I would like it to do. And she said there was, I'm really someone who has problems with all those concepts with archangels and things like that. I know it's kind of a language thing, but she said there's Archangel Raguel who wants to work with me, and I'm meant to channel stories and things. And I said, yeah, okay. So, and I just needed to get more. I didn't need to go after the next coach and the next coach. I needed more to tune in and do more of the meditation and connection thing. And then that was in early August, I think. And I was really happy about that message, but because it's kind of what I always wanted to do, is sit down and write and so. But for months, that was just, I was trying to tune in and trying to do automatic writing work and all that, and just nothing happened. And in this challenge, there was something about connecting with your guides, and I had something like a bodily sensation that came in. It was rather massive, rather strong in my body. And I learned from her that when you're channeling, it's good to be in your body, because then you are not going out so much into the fantasies, and so you don't make up stories as easily. And it was like a message came through that I should just connect in with this feeling every day. And after, I don't know, 2 or 3 days, I suddenly had an image in my mind and I thought, oh yeah, well, that looks like could be something. I write it down. I started writing it down and suddenly I had such a little story. I mean, it's more like parables. It's sometimes something happens in them, sometimes not much happens in them. It's like parables, and that they always have some sort of a message at the end. But I started channeling stories. That was really fascinating to me, and especially after I had done the channeling course of Joanna, I think in 2021. I didn't do it when she did it live, but there was a time afterwards when you could still purchase it and then you could use it for a year. And I gave into it with it because I said, yeah, well, I want this, so I'm going to get it anyway, so I can as well get it for this price now, you know. And I did that, and when I did that, that was a different technique, and I had some things coming in. And one of them was that I should work with clients with channeling, and I was, yeah, well, great. I can barely do it when I'm at home alone and have all the time of the world. I'm going to do that with clients. And then for a while I did that, and then kind of didn't work that much anymore. And then I had Katish saying that, and then I had the stories coming through. And now recently I had a session with Melissa, and she said something like, what she can feel is that I'm here to, you know, to help people find their stories. So that would mean just to work basically with people as clients in the coaching.
So your hypnosis could help people to get into the space of that. Because you've probably got some resistance yourself when you're doing it, but when you're taking a client through that is probably easier.
So I think I'm just figuring out at the moment how the framework for it would look, how I would, you know, I would probably combine it with my trance journey to the power within, which I'm doing at the moment. Is my main offer at the moment. I would just tweak that to see if we get to the story of the person, of the story of their life, so to speak, to find the thread in their life. So that's the thing. So I'm in the process of figuring that out, and because of that, I thought I would offer in the group. I would offer to the group just to pay what you want for these new sessions, you know. And if someone wants to do just a trance journey to the power within, we can also do 1 or 2 spots for that, just to do it as kind of as a test and see how it works and what comes up for people. And so that's also something, that's kind of a connection between the coaching and the storytelling. So I don't really know where this is going to lead at the moment. So
I do. I've had a similar thing, haven't I? Coaching, storytelling, movies, series, creations. It's all wonderful. Susanne, thank you so much for today.
I think we have covered all the important points.
I think we have.
Yeah.
I've loved this conversation.
Yeah, it was great as always.
As always.
And we're in touch, and we are going to talk about the show as it moves on. And
thank you so much for today. Bye for now.
Bye.
So ask yourself, is this for me? Give yourself some boundaries. Learn to trust your intuition now.
Thanks for listening to the Soulful Valley podcast. I trust that you will have heard something today that you were ready to hear, and that it's made you feel a little lighter, more aligned and connected with your soul's purpose, and you have been reminded of who you really are and the true nature of the power that you hold within you. My aim for this podcast is to bring love, light, wisdom, raise consciousness and ease suffering. If you've enjoyed the show, go back and listen to some of the back catalogue of previous episodes. Subscribe, follow, rate and review so that you're notified when new episodes drop in, and share this podcast with anyone that you think it may help to listen to. You can connect with me at soulfulvalley.com, and if you scroll to the bottom of the website, there are links to my social media platforms.